and gamers together now have the sheer magnitude to be a significant unifying force for the world.
If I'm to choose between a greater and lesser evil, I'd rather not choose at all.
You were almost a jibble sandwich.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Be better.
Check this out.
Hello, and welcome everyone to the 342nd episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. I'm your extremely humble host, Brendan White. You can find me just about everywhere at Brendan 8-Bit. And joining me, as is the new and fantastic tradition here at the THG Studios, is my co-host, who is certainly your buddy friend. You can find him doing many great things over at Radio Watson, and find him on the social directly at BuddyWatson12. Buddy Watson, how the bloody hell are ya?
I am very good, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. My hand is a little bit sore. I got some laser tattoo removal over the weekend, and it doesn't get better. I don't know if you've done any laser removal yet. I don't recommend seeking it out because it sucks.
No laser tattoo removal, only laser hair removal. And that's like little bee stings, but I can't imagine it being as bad as tattoo removal. So, no, hopefully I won't have to, but I really appreciate that, like, that you're removing mum from inside the love heart and, like, putting buddy. After 1 week of hanging out with these. I appreciate that. I've only got
so much room in my heart, so I've got to sort of pick and choose the battles. And I called mum and let her know over the weekend that there's a bit of a paradigm shift occurring, and she was okay. She knows that she'll still always have a place in my heart inside myself, but on my external flesh, it's now your space there. So I'm looking forward to sharing that new tattoo design with the world once this laser heals. But yeah, it sucks. They had a new and improved machine that was like twice the size of the last one. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. Like, yeah, it doesn't really laser anymore as much as it burns. So I'm like, okay, we've gone from a laser gun to a flamethrower. And yeah, the feeling and the pain was very real, very immediate. And it's always interesting when you can smell your own flesh burning. But we're here, we're podcasting, we're having a good old time. And I guess first and foremost, I want to know, because I felt rude listening back to the edit from last week, I didn't talk to you more about Radio Watson and when it's coming back. I know it's been very stop-start. You've had a lot of things going on in your life that have taken priority, but yeah, when are you getting back on the mics, man?
Man, I thought I could just like slink away and not have to kind of answer those questions. I was kind of glad you did, like just kind of brushed over it. But I think like the last episode I recorded was maybe February or March of
February
of
is correct.
Yeah, there you go. You've done the research. Damn it, he's done the research there. So I don't know. I haven't really been compelled to kind of jump back in. All the Last of Us stuff I did when the TV show came out, I did with Well Played weekly with them. So it's kind of nice to just rock up and not really do too much prep, kind of like what it is now, which is what I used to do. But I guess having no kind of regular host or semi-weekly discussion of news or plan and having it be a little bit more evergreen kind of puts me in that hole. Because it's like, all right, I don't have a set schedule of jumping up, like showing up and then a set co-host. So it kind of is really on me to kind of pick a topic that I do want to talk about and then find someone that also wants to talk about that kind of passionately. So I've got to cherry pick two type of things in one hit. So whether it comes back or not, or I kind of do something in a different form or something, we'll see what happens.
We will. But I feel you 100%, man. Like, it can be very, very tough to sort of stay up and stay motivated and stay focused, especially if you are the one doing the primary heavy lifting to find those topics and then seek out people to join you. And it can be difficult because it is a passion project and we are men with many passions. So you got to pick and choose your battles. And yeah, when that bug bites you again, hopefully, and you get the motivation to fire up Radio Watson or this other thing you mentioned could be, I know that people will be turning up to check it out because you're a very, very easy man to listen to and you've got good opinions. So come back, enjoy what you're doing right now, but also enjoy some content creation and bring it back to us in our ears, in our hearts, in our minds, all that stuff. Please and thank you.
Well, thank you that you believe that, but I think those two things can be very subjective of whether that they agree with you. People agree with you, so we'll see.
But you've got like such a great studio set up. Like I remember when you started taking the photos of the faux brick wall and everything for the framing. Yep. Like it's so pretty in there. The world needs to see more of that.
True. It's kind of like I did do it for that kind of reason and to maybe film more stuff in front of that and doing more video work and everything. But If anything, it's kind of still get the vibe from it just having it for myself and being able to be in the room as often as I'm not, because I'm downstairs most of the time. But even when I come here, it's kind of like my own little space, and
it's your little oasis.
Yeah, it looks good now.
It really does. It really does. There's a lot of good stuff framing the shot that I'm looking at for the audio listeners right now. So you should be jealous because it is a sight to see. But let's pivot over to this.
The week that was.
Now, my man, I know collectively you haven't really played many new games. Full disclosure, listeners, we don't have any new scorching hot takes, I think, as far as new games. Well, at least I don't. I see you've added one to the docket there, which I'm very interested to hear about because I've downloaded it. I'm yet to sling a singular web. So maybe sort of lead that off and tell me about your early experiences with Spider-Man 2 by Insomniac Games.
Yeah, finally jumping into it after, Mario Wonder last week or the last 2 weeks, 100%ing that. So I've been looking forward to getting into Spider-Man. Finally sat down, had a couple of hours with it, and the opening is just fantastic. Like, just the way they kind of re-tutorialize you with controls, not throwing everything at you in one hit. In that first couple of hours, kind of feels like I have that muscle memory of the controls, or at least not have that muscle memory, but kind of the way they've explained it or re-explained. It just feels like it's a lot easier, and mentally I've just got it's clicking all together again. So I'm not super big on AAA games, and I was kind of I really enjoyed Spider-Man and wasn't really through this, but immediately jumping back into the combat and kind of like traversing around the city from the small parts that I've done so far, it's like, oh, okay, I've got to stop tricking myself that I hate AAA games, or I was like not greatly interested in this, because this is kind of scratching a little bit of an itch that I like. It's just feels so easy and flows so well. And I guess in my mind, I'd forgotten how similar the combat was to the Arkham series, as dumb as that kind of sounds, because it's, almost one for one in kind of the control scheme and how you combat parry and do all your combos and stuff. But I guess in Spider-Man, it's so quick, and I guess you have the traversal and everything combined with that. It just feels great. Like, combat feels fantastic. So I'm not too sure how quickly that's going to wear off, like it can again. But I guess I take solace in knowing that it's only going to be like 20 or 30 hours. It's not going to be some gigantic, massive game, and just the elements of like the dropping in like the little story beats to kind of set up the story so far. I'm super keen to get back to it.
Yeah, I'm keen to dive in, but I've just been really struggling with motivation to sort of pick up and play new games or any games at the moment. So yeah, Spider-Man's on my list there. I've still got to go back and work through more Alan Wake 2, and I've still just sort of been cycling through old familiar comfort foods. Like, I played some of the new sort of Fortnite, where it's gone back to sort of the OG map and got a little bit of nostalgia hit there. I got convinced to jump back into Diablo 4 with the latest sort of seasonal content where you're slaying many a vampire. So I made a necromancer, and I've jumped so deep into that. Like, I've hit level 75 on that character already. So I can't sort of poke fun at you mentioning you playing a lot more factions in sort of the agenda here. But yeah, I've done the same. I've gone back to Old Faithful and sort of just played a little bit of that to have some familiar escapism. And it's a good time. It's a good time. But yeah, I need to finish Alan Wake 2 so then I can move on to Spider-Man 2, and then I can move on to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And that just intimidates the hell out of me, thinking I need to try and play all these games within the next handful of weeks. And it just sort of shocks me and freezes me in place. So instead I just go, I'm just going to watch lots of things, which we've both done as well. So you've checked out Scott Pilgrim Takes Off as well on Netflix.
Yeah.
I think it dropped last Friday?
Friday, yep.
Yeah. So I churned through it all of Saturday. I sort of just jumped in, jumped out. It's a fun time, man. Like, I will admit, the first 10, 15 minutes, I was not feeling it straight off the rip. But I don't know what happened halfway through that first episode, where just the subtle shift or just the constant use of fantastic music just hooked me. And I'm like, all right, I'm back in. Let's roll. Let's see where Scott Pilgrim Takes Off goes. And I couldn't have had a better time watching those 8 episodes. I had super fun with it. It was great to hear the entire cast back voicing themselves from the live action film. I felt some of the vocal deliveries maybe were a little mailed in.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was just based off the character they're trying to portray, but it certainly felt like some people had more fun than others. lending their vocal talents to these characters again. But it was great. Love the animation, love the story, and just the constant usage of music in this series is just phenomenal, man. It was fun. 8 episodes, banger of a time.
Yeah, totally agree. The first episode, I definitely understand the criticism of like the voice acting feeling flat or kind of like mailed in or phoned in, because a lot of that first episode is very repetitive of what you may have seen before in the graphic novels, or if you're coming from the movie. So it's like similar lines or similar scenes. Some of the dialogue has changed, maybe not for the better, because either you're used to that dialogue from before, or it just worked, like the whole Pac-Man joke and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, some of this is a bit weird, but kind of the turn they take at the end of episode 1, which is another thing that a lot of people are complaining about, I actually really enjoyed, and it kind of like put me at ease that we're going to get something completely different. It was more of like a companion piece to the other two things. So I saw Scott Pilgrim the movie before I saw the graphic novels. Then I seeked out the graphic novels, and I love the novels, and they flesh out so much more stuff than what the movie does. And I guess reasonably, because 6 books versus whatever length Scott Pilgrim goes for. When you watch that, it kind of just flies by, and it's not a super lot of depth, but it's just kind of schizophrenic and fun. But this was really cool on kind of the changes that it made, and I don't know if it's a spoiler, but I or not, but I kind of like that the movie is all about like defeating the exes and kind of getting with Ramona or getting the girl. Whereas kind of one of the changes they make here is more about like what happens when you get the girl and like the consequences of what you did to get that, or how to maintain a relationship or something like that. But yeah, I think it's cool as a companion piece. I don't think people should be like looking at this go, oh, this needs to be a 1-for-1. Maybe a lot of people are coming from that bridge, whether it's coming from the novels, which kind of pushed out more stuff, or they've only seen the movie. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. And some of the stuff with the evil exes that you get in here that you might get in the other two formats are fantastic. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was super fun. It didn't overstay its welcome with those 8 episodes. Like you said, it was very frantically paced at times. They're throwing a lot at you, and each new episode introduces new characters or dives deeper on familiar characters that you might know from the film or from the graphic novels. And it's just a good time. Like it just feels, I don't know if I'd say relatable is the right word, but like you mentioned,
oh no,
relatable in a way where it's like, it's, even though there's this crazy video game-esque layer over the top of it, there is a lot of realness to what's going on, and there's themes and situations and scenarios that play out that I think a lot of us have been in or witnessed secondhand. So there is some indirect familiarity with it where I'm like, yeah, I understand how you'd be feeling that way, or I would do the same thing, or I'd probably react similar. Like, so it's just fun. And I love fun in all aspects. And yeah, it was really nice to see what they did with with O'Malley's source material here, and sort of put this fresh new spin on it instead of just doing a beat for beat remake of the film. So it is familiar but new at the same time. And it's great. I hope we get more of it. I would not be sad if they sort of churn out a few other seasons, but maybe some of the vocal work gets a little bit more pep in said step in subsequent seasons. It was weird. Like Brie Larson, for me, it didn't sound like her at all. No. I don't know if it was just she put on a different voice for this, or as she plays Envy Adams in the film, if she had a different sort of vocal delivery. But every time she was on screen, I'm like, nah, this isn't you. This is someone else, like ghost voicing you. This isn't real. This isn't the Brie Larson that I love.
And Ramona worked quite well because she was already kind of like a, not deadpan, but like kind of a softer spoken character anyway in the film with Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Maybe that's why I was like drawn to it, because as much as I love Scott Pilgrim vs. World, the movie, like Scott is kind of a fuckhead. And
yeah, he's a piece of shit.
He's not the greatest character in the movie. Like for me, it is definitely all about Ramona. She's like her cool kind of mystique and kind of her past and how that's worked. So getting more time with Ramona in this series, I think that's maybe why it gelled for me, and going with that kind of mindset that this was like more of a complimentary thing.
I agree 100%. Like Michael Cera is fun, and he lends his vocal talents to this role again very admirably. That's the word. We got there. Third time. Go me. Yeah, he was fine, but there's only so much of that same character that you can deal with. And I agree with you. Ramona Flowers, she's just a cool chick. And she's got so much mystery, and she's got cool hair, and she's riding rollerblades. And it's just like, man, who is this? Like, that's the girl that everyone would want to know, whether it be from a romantic capacity or just a friendship capacity, because she's just so unique. So yeah, I like that she was the focal point of this, even though it is called Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. It's very much the Ramona Flowers story and how she came to be. And it was cool exploring that story with her and that journey with her and all these other characters. But yeah, it's so fun. And I love that Simon Pegg and Nick Frost just seem to cameo in so many things these days. They're just popping up everywhere at the moment. I saw them in the credits the first time, like, what? They're there? And then they popped up as a few other. But yeah, it's fun. Listeners, check it out. If you haven't watched the film or read the graphic novels, do both or do either, depending on how you want to consume your content. And then go peek this, because it's a banger. 8 episodes. You can consume it in a night, in a day, whatever your viewing habits are, and you'll have a fun time. And the soundtrack, holy shit, it slaps. I've added so many of those songs to my Spotify playlist already, because there is just some bangers after bangers after bangers.
Yep. Some good stuff. And I was surprised that they like licensed use of music in there. I didn't really kind of think that was going to happen at first, when they were kind of not using some of the Sex Bomb music like take for take. So I kind of like that was a bit different in that way. And then we still had the licensed movie, like some Tony Hawk kind of soundtrack.
Oh yeah, hearing like Dead Kennedys and stuff as they're doing this sort of skateboarding Tony Hawk homage, it was like I was like fist pumping on the chair. It was so good.
Yeah, getting the time travel, getting the time travel, go back to the 90s.
Yeah, and then I pivoted and I did go back to the 90s again in animation form, and I checked out Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix, which also dropped on Netflix. Only 6 episodes out of this little ditty that came out about a month or so ago now. It ties into the Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon DLC or expansion that Ubisoft released in 2013, and it is a trip. So this is hyper-violent, a little bit sexual, very crass, very crude, awesome, sick thumping soundtrack again. But then they also do a lot of stuff with like mixed media, where we've got the traditional sort of animation style and then mixing in live action here and there. They sort of meld sort of universes together, and it becomes this weird, kooky, offensive melting pot of Ubisoft IP. Like you see Rayman in there. You see Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell. You see like DedSec and various other members of the cast from like Watch Dogs 1 and 2. So they're just bringing in all these characters from these fabled Ubisoft IPs. Oh yeah, there's also a frog that is pretty much like Ezio from Assassin's Creed. He's in the full Assassin's garb. Like, it is just balls to the walls, bananas, but it works and it's fun. And it's offensive in all the right ways. And it was just like something, if I watched this as a kid, I would have been like, this is the fucking coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, it just checks all those boxes. And I hope we get another season of this the way it ends. Adi Shankar has created this one. He is the video game animation savant. So anything he touches, I'm all about. And he absolutely hit this out of the park. And it's some of the best stuff that Ubisoft have done in a long time. Like, that's probably a low bar to step over, but it is fun. And I'm so surprised that I think Ubisoft let Addy go as crazy as he did with it. I thought they might have tried to rein it in and make it a little less offensive, because there's a lot of swearing, a lot of death, a lot of violence, and a lot of controversial situations that are playing out. You used to see Dolph Laserhawk running around blowing the shit up of everything, but it's fun, man. It is just a throwback to yesteryear. It just reminds me of like Duke Nukem 3D, playing that in an animated style, and it's great. I've been very spoilt with animation the last several days.
Yeah, I was very surprised when I was watching the trailer. I'm like, Ubisoft, right? Okay, yeah, this is the best thing I've ever seen them do. I'm not a big fan of a lot of their stuff. Mr. Buddy anti-AAA over here, and then Raymond showed up in the trailer, the synth music, the vaporwave stuff, the VHS kind of tail lines going through the trailer. I'm like, oh damn, this looks amazing. So I'm probably have to check that out.
And something that I can sort of indirectly connect then to something else we can quickly mention, Kenny Omega is in this,
what?
and Cody Rhodes is in this.
I cannot
in very
believe.
brief moments.
I cannot believe you explained all of this, how it all kind of described it, all of these characters, everything, and you could have just led with that. I'm wearing the AEW shirt. As we record, like.
Yeah, so they get some screen time as well. So a couple of professional wrestlers making their way into Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix. It is a time. It is so fun. And yeah, it's another banger. 6 episodes, doesn't overstay. You can consume it over dinner, over a 3-course meal, have 6 courses of Captain Laserhawk. It is so fun. What's your take? Spoiler, you could go spoiler or non-spoiler, but how did you find the AEW pay-per-view yesterday?
I thought it was really good, actually. I'm only really kind of seeing the opinions of the internet wrestling community, which is kind of just like a toxic dumpster fire at the best of times. So some people I see like, oh, Jay White was buried, or this is the worst thing that has ever happened, or this is the greatest thing that happened. But I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of kind of character turns or story progressions that I enjoyed. The Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland,
the Texas Death
Match is one
Holy
of the most
guacamole
insane things I've ever seen from like start to finish. And I felt like it could have ended within 5 minutes of that match starting, and should have or could have ended it at another like 3 other times when I thought one or both of them were literally going to pass out or just be stretched off. So yeah, that was just an insane show all round. I loved it.
That match, like, I didn't watch the whole pay-per-view. I just sort of cherry picked a few bits and pieces and heard, got to check out the Texas Death Match. So I gave it a peek last night, and I was shocked. It's one of the most violent wrestling matches, like mainstream wrestling matches, we could say. You know, there's all kinds of hectic shit happening in all these other sort of federations and orgs. But as far as mainstream professional wrestling goes, that is up there as the most hectic shit I've seen in decades. And it was so metal seeing Hangman drinking Swerve's blood.
Oh,
I was just like, what the fuck is going on? But it was great. And AEW continue to knock it out of the park with their pay-per-view. Some of their weekly programming can be a little hit and miss, but yeah, Mr. Tony Khan certainly is Mr. Pay-per-view these days. It feels like he brings it. And seeing Mr. Ospreay sign on for allegedly at least 3 years, that's great, because he's the best in the world, just about. And yeah, that stacked roster of 5-star wrestlers just keeps on building. So he's going to have banger after banger there. But yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time.
It's fantastic. Can't wait to see Ospreay come. But at least he's got like a Wrestle Kingdom to go before that. So
Oh, yeah, there was some inconsistencies with the booking in the main event as far as people cleared for wrestling in some matches, but not others. But we're not going to get into the semantics there. But yeah, that's what we've been doing. Unless you've got anything else you wanted to mention that you've been up to this past week, maybe we can sort of jump into our next segment. What do you think?
Let's do it.
News and notes from around the internet, presented by Audio Technica.
All right, once you're done listening to this segment, head on over to audio-technica.com to upgrade your audio game today. You need new in-ears, over-ears, gaming headsets, microphones, turntables. They've got it all. So check out audio-technica.com or at Audio Technica AU on the socials. But I thought we'd recap first and foremost. The Game Awards nominations are officially out. And obviously we tried to predict the nominees for a couple of categories last week on episode 341. And we absolutely crushed it with the Game of the Year nominations. We went 6 for 6, where we predicted Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Spider-Man 2, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder as the 6 to make the docket. And we were 6 for 6 there, so go us.
Too easy.
And then if we shift into our individual categories, you went with the indie nominations, and you were correct with 4 of the 5, because they only went with 5 nominations for this one. So you nailed Cocoon, Dave the Diver, Dredge, Sea of Stars, and the 5th nominee that made it is Viewfinder. You had Humanity and Chance of Sinar on there as well.
Yep.
And then I went with the Best Adaptation nominations, and I was the same. So I was 4 out of 5. I missed Gran Turismo because I haven't watched that movie and I just feel it's going to be shit. So I just assumed that it would not make the docket. But I was correct on Twisted Metal, the Super Mario Brothers movie, The Last of Us, and Castlevania Nocturne. But the other nominations I had was Nier Automata and Tetris were not on the list. So after 3 categories, it's a goddamn dead heat. I I don't know what we can do to try and determine a winner here. I don't know if you've come up with any ideas. Pistols at Dawn, Slap Fight. I don't know. But yeah, what are we going to do? How are we going to split the difference here and work out who was the master predictor?
Pistols at Dawn, Quick and the Dead style. Quick and the Dead style tournament. That'd be fantastic. I don't know.
Can I be Sharon Stone?
You can absolutely be Sharon
Yes.
Stone. I'll be young Leo. Actually, I'll go have a shave and dye my hair.
I wasn't sure if you're going to be young Leo or Russell Crowe. I wasn't sure which way we were going to go there.
Well,
you can't
it
lose
depends whether
either
I
way.
shave or not shave, and how angry I am. I don't know. Like, I don't even know what's on the line at the moment. I'm guessing it's going to be a pizza bet, which is kind of like 8-bit tradition. We could take it all the way and kind of build up to like
The actual winner?
the Game Awards, and maybe do like maybe not like a full scale predictions, because who cares about esports from my end? Like it'd just be like us guessing and kind of being like a more of a luck based thing. But if you think about like Oscars, like your big fives, or maybe just like those main type of categories where we might have a little bit more of an understanding.
I think that's a great idea. All right, so I'll just pull up the categories here. Sorry, listeners, you're hearing this play out live, but I figure we've got Game of the Year. Obviously, that's a gimme.
Yep.
Then we've got Best Game Direction, Best Narrative. I'll read out a handful of them, and then I'll let you pick the ones you think. So Best Game Direction, Best Narrative, Best Art Direction, Best Score and Music, Best Audio Design, Best Performance, Innovation in Accessibility. Then we've got like, your best action or your best genres. So action, sim, family, etc. There's also Best Indie Debut, Best Indie, Best Ongoing, and then all the other esports stuff that no one really gives a toss about, and then Most Anticipated. So I've got some ideas in mind, but what do you think? So we'll take Game of the Year. That's a definite. So we need to say 4 more.
Okay, so Game of the Year, I'm going to say Indie as well.
Yep, Indie. Love that. I reckon Best Performance, maybe?
Yeah, Best Performance.
Yep.
I'm trying to think about like categories that don't have a Game of the Year nominee in them, which leads me to think like
that.
Indie Debut, potentially.
Yeah.
If there's no kind of crossover or as much crossover from there as what I can think about.
There's 3 out of the best indie games in Indie Debut, and then there's Venba and Pizza Tower in there as well.
Maybe that's too much of a crossover.
We could do like Most Anticipated Game.
Is that the?
But that's a puff piece.
That's a trash award. Sorry, that's garbage. I don't know. Maybe more of the technical stuff like score and narration and direction or something like that. Like
okay, let's do
instead of like
Game
the
of
genre.
the Year, Best Performance, Best Indie. Do we go Score and Music?
Yep.
And then Best Game Direction?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Or Best Narrative instead of Best Game Direction.
Yeah, maybe Best Narrative. We're making our own big 5 of the Oscars.
I like that. All right, that's settled. So we'll put our respective winning predictions in over the coming days, and we'll see who takes home the bickies in a few weeks' time. But I've got a little bit of flow-on information on the back of the Game Awards. So nominees for the Game Awards 2023 have officially been revealed, with Alan Wake 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 leading the way with 8 nominations each. I think we both actually said in the last episode that we feel they were going to be up there with Zelda as far as the big three with all the noms.
Yep.
Alan Wake 2's nominations include Game of the Year, Best Game Direction, Best Narrative, Best Art Direction, Best Score and Music, Best Sound Design, Best Performance, and Best Action Adventure Game. Baldur's Gate 3 saw a number of similar nominations, including Game of the Year, Best Game Direction, Best Narrative, Best Score and Music, Best Performance, Best Community Support, Best RPG, and Best Multiplayer. Marvel Spider-Man 2 received 7 nominations. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom received 5 alongside Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and Starfield received only 1. And off the docket here, every Xbox fanboy shedding so many tears on the internet about that. I couldn't care either way. Starfield's fine, but it's not the best game I played this year by a long way. Nintendo is the Game Awards most nominated publisher in 2023 with 15 nominations across its combined portfolio, followed by Sony Interactive Entertainment / PlayStation with 13, and Xbox, and that is inclusive of Bethesda and Blizzard, with 10, and Epic Games with 9. All told, the 2023 game nominees span 112 different games, individuals, teams, and events across multiple genres and platforms. The nominations are selected by a global jury of individuals from more than 100 media publications and influencer outlets. Winners for all 31 categories will be announced live from the Peacock Theatre in Los Angeles on December 7th/8th, depending on where you are in the world. So, buddy, I got to ask you, what are your biggest takeaways, any glaring omissions, or potential eyebrow raisers as far as some of the games that were nominated, weren't nominated, maybe got too little, got too much? Where do you stand? Anything sort of standing out to you in a big way?
First of all, I guess like the elephant in the room is obviously the Dave the Diver being nominated for indie category, and then like the big kind of fuss that has been coming about that, and it not being an actual indie. Them themselves coming out and it's like stating that they're not an indie and obviously like an offshoot from Nexon, is it the big company that make them? So I know there's been like people kind of debating what is an indie title and kind of the classification of what the actual award states and how do you like define indie and all that. But I've been hearing like that on a lot of podcasts. I've seen a lot of chatter on Twitter, but that has been from a lot of game journalists, influencers, content creators, people like that. A lot of those same people were the judges. So I'm kind of finding it a little bit hard to kind of reconcile in that way how a lot of the people that are complaining about this are also representative of the people that also would have voted for this. So it's kind of like only like really a backlash after the fact instead of before the fact. It was definitely like kind of said before that, but I guess it was only taken in from a small portion of those said people. So if they're really experts in the industry, qualified to give that, opinion, and they're already set on knowing that before fact, then really it shouldn't have been nominated. But the fact that all this uproar has happened after kind of like gives me a bit of a bad taste in my mouth about who are the judges, what did they vote on, and how knowledgeable they actually are in all of this. Especially the other big thing that kind of like jumped out to me was the best RPG, which is the only category that like Starfield got nominated in as well. And I didn't play that game, but I don't know, it's just I don't kind of see it as an RPG. I guess so many games now kind of cross or blur the lines between having RPG elements and being an action game, or having RPG systems in it instead of like being a pure RPG himself. I know them like in the Discord with the Well Played people. I know Jamie Penning, who listens to a lot of podcasts and is a big Nintendo fan. One of his favorite games is his Octopath Traveler 2, which I guess you would kind of say that is
definitely a traditional RPG.
That's a genuine traditional RPG, but then it's kind of getting outperformed. Like I don't know if that's a something that would have been nominated, whether or not, but just to see other things take its place, specifically something like Lies of P as well, I would have more kind of assumed that might be more of an action game or action adventure game.
I'd put that as action. Like I haven't played a minute of Lies of P, so put the pitchforks away, listeners. But it's an Elden Ring, it's a Soulsborne game, and I wouldn't consider those. I guess they are like I guess what defines an RPG in my head is anytime you are progressing and leveling a character and you have broad forking narrative that you can sort of shape. I don't know. Like the description here on the Game Awards for Best RPG, it says, for the best game designed with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. So Starfield, single player. Final Fantasy 16, single player, right? Sea of Stars, single player. But I guess like that's looking at Sea of Stars, that's where I could see Octopath Traveler 2 potentially interchanging with similar flavor, similar art style, similar JRPG throwback to the 90s, both games. So that could be interchanged. But yeah, I don't see Lies of P sitting in here. I'd put that in like action adventure.
Yeah, because there's best action game, there's best action adventure game, and then there's best RPG. And I feel like 3 categories, yeah, that's probably deserved, but I feel like some of them are just really blurring the lines. So maybe, and alongside like Dave the Diver being a thing as well, maybe there needs to be more clarification of like what category something can be nominated in before it is nominated as well. Like I know before the Oscars come out, people kind of pitch it like, all right, this is going to be in the musical comedy category at the Golden Globes, or it's going to be in the drama category. And a lot of that kind of stuff is kind of just to kind of get people awards sometimes, like, oh, that movie is not really a musical or comedy. I think what year was it? Was it Birdman that jumped into that category?
Oh yeah. Oh, Michael Keaton.
Keaton. That went into musical comedy. I'm like, I can see what you're doing, because artistically it's like the whole one shot and they're on Broadway and everything. But like, would you mass like put it into one of those, or do things just get put into those kind of categories to kind of get more chance of winning awards? So I don't know if that would solve the problem, but maybe they should just try, and maybe the categories need to be kind of like cleaned up a little bit.
Yeah, like best action game, it says for the best game in the action genre, focus primarily on combat. And like, that's Liza P. You're fighting for your fucking life the whole time. Why is that not in there? But I think the biggest eyebrow raiser or chuckle moment for me is in best community support. Seeing Destiny 2 in there, considering they fired all of their community managers and things just recently, and yet they still get a vote. Like, I know Destiny and Destiny 2 is very well supported and serviced from a live game perspective, but this year has certainly been a low point for Bungie, and then obviously the mass firings that have happened the last month or so is a little bit of a bad timing situation for seeing it getting nominated. But like you said, I would love to know who the people are of this list of 100 or 100 media publications and influencer outlets, who they are, how across the industry and the genres they are that they're voting for, because it feels like it's just cherry picking the top level stuff. They've jumped on Metacritic, seen the main score points, went, yep, that'll do. Yeah, that sounds good. My cousin talked about that the other day at lunch. Chuck that in there too. Like, there is some interesting choices here.
There'll be so many people that are kind of in that, whatever it was, number 120 people that were kind of a part of that voting process that haven't played everything. And I'm not saying you should play everything, but that's why you see so many like repeat games come up in each type of category, and a lot of them being AAA. Like, you look at the bleed through of like the game of the year, you've got your 6 there, and then they're pretty much nominated in all the categories they are for in their like genre categories, which is fair enough. But then they also bleed over to like direction, narrative, art, all that kind of stuff, score. So I'm wondering how many games are actually getting played, because you think about the Oscars and their voting process. If this is what Keeley kind of wants this to be, right, on the level of the Oscars and kind of its prestige and thought about, especially with old Joseph Ferres rocking up. Fuck the Oscars. You think about that and how long it takes to watch a movie, 2 hours, and consume that, and where and how you can do that with screeners, and then the amount of like film festivals that are done over the years before release, way before release. Whereas like to play one of these games, we look at like Starfield, how big's that? Like 80 to 100 hours. Spider-Man's 20 to 30. Baldur's Gate is like infinite. How many people are just playing 4 to 5, 6 games? Like, how many people are actually playing everything on this list to get like a representative kind of snapshot of what gaming is in this year, instead of like, okay, everyone played these 6 titles in the voting scheme of things, and then amongst those 120 they played like maybe 4 other 5 other titles that are kind of like super niche titles, but because not enough people played the same super niche titles, they don't pool enough votes to get them into any of the categories out here. So I would actually change the voting process so you either get people that are more, I guess, like more transparent.
Specialized?
Yeah, so it's specialized. So for best indie game, I would be getting I could be wrong. Maybe the voting is like this. I don't think it is, though. I would be getting people that just like maybe some outlets that just play indie games all the time, or people kind of have a renowned, reputation for that. Like
people have got their boots on the ground in these genres and categories on the daily, instead of like an IGN, not going to point fingers and say they're the cause of the problems of these games getting miscast, but like they're a generalist website. They've got some people in there that do play certain games wholly and solely, but having them try and score and vote 31 categories is probably a bit of a tall ask. So yeah, maybe cherry pick certain outlets that are heroes for these categories that live and breathe it every day to get a bit more of an accurate representation.
Yeah, and I feel like with a lot of the voting process, say they choose an outlet and say there's like 6 or 7 people in that outlet, they all make their individual votes, then they tally it up, and then that end tally is representative of that outlet. So it could be like an IGN or a Press Start, Kind of Funny, whatever, or the other Kotaku, Polygon. So if you're getting like all the stuff that's kind of not represented as a whole, that's kind of was getting votes in those outlets but didn't get enough to kind of be Polygon's vote or Kotaku's vote or whatever it is, whoever the outlet is, then that's not going to bleed through as like the representative vote at the top. So as much as there's a lot of games in here, there's also a lot of repetition and AAA stuff across all the categories. And I know we have these like Indie Spirit Awards and all that kind of thing to kind of highlight indies and everything, but maybe there needs to be a recategorization of some of those like genre awards, I don't know, that just feels like best sports and racing and best fighting game. I feel like they probably belong there. They're so kind of
but like you said,
specific.
action adventure, and then role playing. We've got games jumping across all three of those categories, and some deservedly so, some shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, it's like they've got 3 categories and they can't figure out, they've got 3 categories and they can't figure out, what can get into those. How do you get into multiple? So it's just, I don't know.
One thing I'm just looking at now that shows just how far removed I am from the streamer and content creator universes is I've just looked at the content creator of the year category, and I have only heard of one of them, and that's through them having a skin in Fortnite. So the 5 content creator of the year nominees, let me know if you know any of these: Iron Mouse, People Make Games, Quack Kitty, Spreen, and Cypher PK. So Cypher PK's got his own skin in Fortnite. So that's how I've seen him. But if he wasn't in Fortnite, I wouldn't know him or the other 4.
I think the only one I've kind of semi-seen anywhere is the People Make Games. But I guess I'm not in that kind of sphere to consume that kind of stuff. So didn't they have like, what's the one that Greg Miller won all those years ago? Like best,
Oh, that was that at the DICE Awards though?
Oh, that was the DICE Awards. Okay.
That was like best personality or something like that.
So I don't know.
But like, I love that there's best esports coach. I think that's great. I'm like, it's good to see the coach get some recognition. And like, who do you think's going to win? I'm going to give you 5 names. This isn't what we're going to put this not part of our score to see who gets the pizza. Do you think Christine Potter Chi, Danny Zonic Sorensen, Jordan Gunbar Graham, Remy XTQ Triple Z Quanium, or Yoon Homie Sung Young is going to take out the Best Esports Coach Award for 2023?
First of all, Danny Sorensen, Zonic Sorensen, looks like he plays darts. But I got to go for our boy here, Jordan Graham. He's obviously looking at the photo. He's got an Australian shirt on.
Yeah.
So I just got to back him, right?
Yeah, I'm down. I like the thought. I don't want to sort of just take the mickey and just ride your coattails. I'm going to go with Remy XTQ Triple Z only because it looks like he fell asleep on his keyboard when he decided that name, and just his head landed on those keys and was like, yep, that's my username now. So I'm going to go Remy Quanium, aka XTQ Triple Z, but my heart is going for Jordan Gunbar Graham.
That Remy guy looks like he kind of, when he gets them into like the team into a private room, he just like is yelling them out and just being quite abusive and shouty. Yeah. So he's got that energy about him. He's such a concerned look in that photo.
Yeah, everyone. Oh, and so does the dart man, Danny Sorensen. He looks like he's about to throw some darts at people. But everyone else is sort of pretty keen. Yoon Sung Young can certainly use some teeth whitener. I know that's pretty harsh to say, but like, come on, man, hygiene. It's the least you can do. You got a nice tie, the hair's nice, skin's looking good. Clean up them chompers, young man. But yeah, that is the Game Awards. I'm going to pivot and say, buddy, it seems we were very wrong, because we threw a lot of shade and doubt over the PlayStation Portal last week, but it seems we're in the minority, as the device, which launched last week on November the 15th, has already sold out in the UK and US and is currently getting all kinds of dodgy eBay bids going on where they are driving up the price because supply and demand cannot be met. So, at least the United Kingdom and the United States are pretty horny for the PlayStation Portal. Do you feel any different now seeing it out in the wild and seeing some feedback on the socials about people using it? Have you changed your tune? Are you going to pick up one of these?
No, because first of all, we live in Australia, internet, hello. And I have a lounge room where I play all my games. And, if I want to play it on the go or elsewhere, I just don't. Like, I don't know. I have no need for this. But it's so funny, like UK and what is UK and the
United
US?
States
were the biggest ones. How's their internet in the world? Surely quite good.
United States is pretty good, but the UK, like, I don't know, their economy is pretty cooked. So I don't know if that also translates to their internet being pretty patchy as well. Who the heck knows?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. We can't be right all the time here. But I'm happy for the people that are thirsting for these very niche handsets, in my opinion. So, power to them. All right, next little bit of news. I've called Throw the Dog a Slightly Newer Bone. Naughty Dog has confirmed the release of The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered for PlayStation 5, and it's going to be dropping on January the 19th of 2024. This updated version boasts technological enhancements, new gameplay modes, and behind-the-scenes features. It offers improved visuals, 2 graphics modes, enhanced DualSense controller support, expanded accessibility options, and faster loading time. Giddy up. The remaster includes a commentary track, new gameplay modes like speedrun, and a roguelike survival mode called No Return, which features various playable characters with unique traits. Additionally, there's a guitar free play mode for musical exploration, and owners of the PlayStation 4 version can upgrade for a mere $10 with additional special editions also available upon release with a ton of swag accompanying said special editions. So, what's your temperature check on this? Are you keen? Like, I know we talk about you being the resident faction super fan, so I'm assuming that sort of indirectly ties you into some fandom and some appreciation of this franchise. Are you going to be throwing your 10 bickies down come January the 19th to get a free upgrade and go again? Or are you like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I appreciate this, but no thanks.
I'll probably throw the biggies down. AU pricing has just got released earlier today as well. So for us, it'll be $20. So I don't think that's too bad. I still have my Last of Us Part 2 disc downstairs. I generally don't store discs. I generally play games and roll them, sell them privately, or trade them in and get money back so I can afford my next kind of movie haul or gaming adventures. But yeah, I'll throw my money, especially because of the lost kind of, is it the lost levels?
Yeah, so there's something that they've called the lost levels in there. The no return roguelike survival mode piqued my interest. I thought that was kind of cool, and being able to play new characters or characters you've experienced indirectly through the Last of Us world so far. I think that's fun.
Yep.
I was curious if this upset you though, because it's like, why are you investing all this time and resource into this instead of my standalone factions game? What is going on, Naughty Dog?
All right, so you can look at it two ways, and my first reaction is seeing this and then like, for fuck's sake, where is factions? I put the Jay White video up of like just him yelling fuck over and over and over, because that's how I feel sometimes when I don't get the factions announcement, I get something else. But I don't see this as a big of a problem as some people did with the Last of Us remake versus this remastered. To the fact that we're getting new content with that roguelike mode, the lost levels, I think is enough of an addition, specifically because they have an upgrade path, which is something they didn't have before because it was a remake, and that remake was for a 10-year-old game. I know a lot of people are like kind of poo-pooing this because it's like 2020 and it's only been 3 years. Do we need a remaster? I'm like, well, if it's going to run better on a PS5 and you're going to add more content, then I believe yes. And specifically for people that collect or haven't played this game before and don't have an option to kind of upgrade, do want to own it on a PS5 disc and not have to require paying $20 or getting the older disc and then having to download the whole said file and having less on the kind of the disc. I know physical media, scary. I like that as being an option as well, one for game preservation and I guess ease, specifically in our kind of internet infrastructure. So cool. I don't think it's as bad as what everyone else is kind of complaining and carrying on about and sharing all those hot takes. But the other side of it for me is like, okay, I didn't get factions. I want factions, but maybe this is another kind of thing where they're playing around with the PS5 architecture behind the scenes. And hopefully by the time we get factions, they've got enough experience getting the most out of this console that they haven't had before. We saw Last of Us Part 2 come at the end of the PS4 life cycle. It was fantastic. I can't believe it ran on my PlayStation 4 launch edition and looked as stunning as it did, specifically when a lot of other games from third-party developers have kind of fallen apart or looked patchy or didn't perform quite as well, whereas The Last of Us 2 was quite seamless and fantastic. So hopefully they're maybe using this as a way to kind of play with the console to get the best out of kind of their next project, and maybe that $20 upgrade is just kind of keeping the lights on or kind of pushing forward some kind of capital into the faction thing that's going to come hopefully in the future. So hopefully that is a thing. And it's kind of a little bit off-putting or a bit weird seeing a lot of people kind of throw shade at it, like saying this should be free or why are we doing this? But then it's also the kind of the same people that would say like, we don't want to crunch employees and they shouldn't be doing this or that, or they should be paid properly, or we should unionize. I'm like, okay, well, these people, they want to pay, they want to charge, they've given you an upgrade path. They didn't have that before because it was a remake versus remastered. Now there is an upgrade path. Now it's not that expensive. And people want it free. It's like, okay, you can't have the crunch debate and the unionizing debate and pay people for their work versus not paying for the thing. So I kind of feel like there's like an offset kind of between that. So I'm trying to look at it as a positive side, I guess.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm with you. Like the internet culture and the games online community, or just internet in general, they just always want to find something to be angry and upset about. So this is just their current bee in their bonnet. And yeah, I feel the 10 US or the 20 AUD upgrade version, I think that's a damn respectable price. They could have potentially said that wasn't an option. You need to pay 50, 60, $100, whatever it's going to be, and people would still pay it. But this is a smart way to get people in. This is a smart way to ride off the hype and momentum of The Last of Us TV adaptation. I thought this might have maybe lined up with the release of, say, season 2 of the TV show, and they'll do like a box set of part 1 and part 2, bundle that with episode 1 when it drops as the main money maker. But coming out in January, I think you bang on the money where this is allowing them to get more familiar with this back end Sony ecosystem and make sure that factions and unannounced Naughty Dog game X and Y, and no doubt the next Uncharted and everything else they're working on, will sing and dance the way it's meant to on this platform. So I get that they're sort of cautiously dipping a toe with this new hardware to make sure their back-end code is going to run the right way. And yeah, it's cool that it's not just a game that's going to look better and run better. There's new modes, there's new accessibility options, there's some other little funky things. Like I thought the guitar free play mode is a fun little add-on, because that musical element ties into some of the most powerful parts of this franchise. So being able to take some time with that and disconnect from the combat and the heartbreak and strum some chords, I think that's really fun. So yeah, I want to tip the hat to Naughty Dog. I feel that, yeah, 3 years is still pretty recent, but yeah, going from hardware generations across that 3-year cycle is a big leap. So we all see this game look as good / bad as it ever has, because there is some truly horrific things that you see in this game that are going to be even more horrific in 4K on the big sexy screen. But yeah, I'm down. I'll drop my 20 bones come January 19th and upgrade my, I think I had a digital one, so that'll be easy for me, because yeah, just I'll jump online, go boom, there's my 20, Mr. and Mrs. Sony, give me my new version and I'll go again.
Yep. My biggest trepidation is like not knowing how many internal teams there are in Sony. So if there Naughty Dog, if there's only one team, like surely there's 2 teams, right? One team working on this and then the other working on the factions at the very minimum. It's all about opportunity cost. If there's resources that are making this that were taking away from factions and that's taking longer, then I can get annoyed. But if there is like these resources are not kind of contributing to that in any kind of way, shape or form, then I see that as being fine. But I'm always kind of worried that maybe this is a bigger thing about Sony not having like a slate that's kind of projected for this year or next year, and kind of the live service games, the 6 that were kind of be between this year and that have been pushed back out of the 12, which sounds just absurd. Maybe that's kind of thrown all into disarray, and like, well, we'll put our resources here so we can at least have something out, and that's pushing factions back as being one of those live service games. So there's also that negative type of part of my brain that goes, okay, this is a tie over, this is pushing things back. So I don't know. Time will tell, but
time will tell.
I think the content at least is good.
I think so. And it's smart. Like, no doubt HBO and Sony at the top end are like, holy shit, this show has performed better than we ever expected. Let's try and get back to this well and get as much money as we can out of this, because it's always about profits at the top. Looking at the numbers, I think they've got anywhere from 440 to 497 employees, depending on the listings I'm seeing here. So they've got a fairly sizable workforce. So you think they'd be split across 2, maybe 3 games. Because yeah, they'll have a few coals in the fire, that's for sure.
I'm sure the Last of Us Part 3 somewhere in there as well, hopefully.
I have no doubt about that. No doubt at all. But the last little bit of news I'm bringing to the table for you today, buddy, I've titled this one, I Can See You in Court. A lawsuit filed in the Eastern District of Arkansas on October 30 specifically targets Microsoft, EA, Activision, Ubisoft, and Epic Games, along with a handful of other studios, accusing them of enabling video game addiction. Was that Siri just rudely interrupting then?
Yeah, Siri was like, video game addiction. Yes, it's real, Brendan.
Yeah, it's going to be in my Google searches now. You wait. So yeah, accusing them of enabling video game addiction. The plaintiff, an Arkansas mother, represents her minor child and husband, claiming the company's concerted efforts to get consumers addicted have led to a rapid spread of video game addiction. The 129-page complaint lists 14 counts, including negligence, fraudulent misrepresentation, and violation of trade practices. The plaintiff seeks damages for injuries, economic loss, and legal fees. The lawsuit details various microtransactions and monetization schemes, citing patents from Activision, Microsoft, and EA, among others. To support the claim that the companies design games to cause addiction, the suit explores how these practices target minors, attract whales, exploit cloud gaming, and create a generation of gaming addicts. Buddy, what do you think about this? Do you feel that there's some grounds here that this mother and her very, very downtrodden child and husband, because they're addicted to games now, they're injecting it into their digital veins every night, several hours a night. Do you feel they've got a leg to stand on here to get some money out of these devs and pubs, or do you think this is just all a bunch of hooey?
And for $2.95, you can read the rest of the 129-page effort per week. Look, definitely valid points being brought up as far as like how games are made now with the live service model, and kind of everything there is kind of accurate, right? But the idea that this is like an Arkansas mother taking them to court is just absurd and shows kind of the Americanism's obsession with litigation and absurd litigation. I would expect something on this end to be more of like a class action lawsuit from maybe some companies, or kind of someone lobbying that's kind of in that gaming space, where it's like an organization or kind of a company's banding together. The fact that it's one mother kind of like, you made my child addicted to gaming. Everything she's saying like is definitely accurate about the microtransactions, monetization, and targeting of all that kind of stuff. But just the idea of like the negligence, the misreputation, and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know what like the document says about her child.
I've got some info for you here.
Hit me. I can't
according to the filing, so GD is the child. So the husband and the child, like they're in on this together. So the child is 13 years old and plays video games 12 to 14 hours per day, despite parental efforts to limit this time. He primarily plays Fortnite, Rainbow Six Siege, Battlefield, and Call of Duty, and is said to have spent approximately $350 per month on gaming. In total, it is claimed GD has spent around $3,000 on in-game transactions and downloadable content, not including the cost of consoles, games, and an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription. So I firstly want to say, like, I'm not going to dismiss how hard it is to raise a child. Like, that is a job and a giant mountain to climb on the daily. But also, take the fucking console away. It's that easy. Like, if your kid's being a shit and like this child's 13 years old, he needs to understand that this isn't just something that they can consume for half of their day every day. It should be a reward. You incentivize the child to go to school, do the chores, do the homework. Then you get a few hours to play Fortnite or whatever the hell. But I love seeing this, or you see on a current affair, and they're like, oh, my son, he's an evil child. All he does is play games, and I try and take the control, and he tells me to fuck off. And it's just like, well, just take the controller, break the controller, whatever. Like, take control of your household. And same on the
and
money
your husband.
Spent. Yeah.
By the look of it, like that's where it all starts, right? At the top of the pairing. And if that's setting the example, like, just parental controls, how are they getting access to money? Don't save credit cards, don't have credit cards lying around stolen. Like, I just get dumbfounded by these type of things, because I initially hear these or see these type of examples. I'm just like, you're the problem, all right? Like, tell me, I want to know the background. What is your education, and where have you been, and how did you grow up as the parent, and what are you translating down? Come on, like, what's going on here? I see these kind of stories and like, okay, if it is a kind of submissive parent that's maybe had like traumatic experiences in the past where they kind of don't put their foot down and all these other things, I'm like, we just need to go back to hitting kids again. I reckon that's going to sort it out, right?
but even like you said, like the fact that the father is partially to blame here, he's enabling the kid. He's probably up. They're both grinding battle pass levels in Fortnite and Call of Duty together. He's probably stolen his wife's credit card, and so he's getting him the skins and buying the battle passes. So he's just as much at fault here. Like, well, they're all at fault. The child, you know, the young son, the husband, especially, and then the wife. The fact that they're just like, yeah, let's not be accountable ourselves. Let's blame the evil gaming companies. And yeah, they do some predatory shit. Don't get me wrong.
100%.
I am an indirect whale in a lot of games because I love to waste money and I love shiny things. So they get me hook, line, and sinker regularly. So I am part of the problem. But also, yeah, take some ownership of your household here. I love that they're seeking money for damages tying to physical pain in the hands, elbows, and shoulders.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so there's that. They're also seeking money for the necessary care and treatment of those, the emotional anguish off the back of this, the parents' economic losses. It's a hoot, some of these little hit points there. But I'm very curious to see what happens here.
Sign me up. Well, get me in on the suit. I want some of this. I want some of this money. Let's go. I'll come in on the suit. I'll back you up, Mum. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah,
they're targeting
you
me
and
too.
GD, the face of gaming addiction in 2023.
Yeah, all those Rocket League crates and keys and stuff I've spent over the years. You're right. I had to delete that game, but I did. I did delete that game because the addiction was real.
You didn't need to go and sue a company for your love and passion as far as hitting a ball around in a vehicle. You just went, you know what? I've had enough. This is not good for me. Uninstall.
It only took 11,000 games in games that kind of factored out to.
Is that an accurate number? That's an accurate number.
It's probably conservatively low, not factoring in how many games I've played on other consoles. But at 5 minutes a game, you can do the math of how many hours and days I've put into Rocket League in my lifetime. So I think I've played that for like a year or two now. I deleted that a while ago.
Mamma mia. And now you've pivoted back to factions.
I'm back, baby. I'm back into factions. Let's go. That's never getting deleted. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's no microtransactions left. I brought everything. Okay? That's just sucking my time away, and that it can have.
Yeah, so let's see what happens to this family in Arkansas. Let's see if GD and his father manage to break the vicious gaming addiction cycle, or if this just gets laughed out of court. I'll keep my eyes on this and see what happens over the coming months on that, because I found that one very humorous and very interesting. But buddy, let's jump into this.
Miss Allie Hart's Carousel of Chaos.
Anarchy!
All right, so we're back with another rotating assortment of games, fun, and madness. And I'm bringing back a classic from season 1 of The Hungry Gamers called... Sham. Clan or Sham, listeners. And for those out there probably saying, what in the hell is that? I am going to be taking Buddy down a list of various esports organizations. They can be fact or they can be fiction. So they can be real esports organizations or they can be fake ones. So are they a clan or are they a sham? And the theme on this one, I've taken 5 teams from the League of Legends esports standing from the summer 2023 championships and bracket.
Yeah,
and
my favorite.
so
I've watched it all.
I figured you'd be across it. You'd be definitely like a mid laner, something like that, or maybe in ADC. I don't know.
That's it. Three lanes, point and click, support and things. Yep, I'm an expert.
Yeah, you're across this. So I've broken it down where I'm going to give you 2, and you need to work out which one's the clan and which one's the sham. So we've got 5 rounds. We'll work it through and see how you end up at the end there. So are you ready to play clan or sham?
Oh, let's do it.
All right, the first 2 clans, and these tie into the LJL division, which is based out of Japan. So the first one, Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming. Are they a clan or a sham? Or is it Tokyo Panasonic Thundercats? Which one is the clan and which one is the sham out of those 2, buddy?
What was the first one again?
Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming, and the other one is Tokyo Panasonic Thundercats.
Thundercats, Hawks. I'm going to go the Hawks. That's such an American thing. I'll go Thundercats. That's cartoon anime. Let's get some deduction.
So you're going the Thundercats as the clan and Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming as the sham?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I've got to say sorry, but
Oh my
you are
God.
incorrect.
Oh
The
my
Fukuoka
God.
SoftBank Hawks Gaming are a real clan, and they lost in the final to another clan called Destination Focus Me. So the LJL League is popping off. The next one, we're going to the LLA, which is the Latin America League.
Oh my God.
All right. So the first clan, or Sham, Movie Star Skylines with a Z, or Movie Star R7. Which one is the clan and which one is the Sham? Movie Star Skylines or Movie Star R7 from the Latin America League?
R7. What could that be for? Okay, I'm going to go the one with the Z because a lot of esports teams have Zs because they're idiots.
Okay. It's a very accurate sort of line to throw there. So you're going Movie Star Skylines as the real one,
with it,
and Movie Star R7 as the Sham.
That's it.
You are incorrect again.
Oh
you are
my God.
0 for 2. Movie Star R7 beat Estral Esports in the final of the LLA Summer League this year. All right, the next two. These ones are from the LPL China League. Strap in for these names, my friend.
God.
Weibo Gaming, FAW Audio, or Guangzhou Gorilla Fist Esports. Which one is the clan and which one is the Sham? Weibo Gaming, FAW Audio, or Guangzhou Gorilla Fist Esports?
I'm telling you what. I'm going to choose the Fist and the Guangzhou Gorilla Fist Gaming better not fist me right now.
Mate, bend over because the Guangzhou Gorilla Fist Esports are fisting you all up and down here. So Weibo Gaming FAW Audio
Of course.
is the right one, and they won the LPL China bracket over Shanghai Edward Gaming Heiken. Some of these names are fucked. They're so fucked.
Like Sri Lankan surnames.
It's absurd. Shout out to Australia winning the World Cup, by the way. But the next one, Team 7 a.m. or Team Minutes to Midnight. So these are two teams from the Elite Series in EMEA. So Team 7 a.m. or Team Minutes to Midnight. Which is the clan and which one's the Sham?
Okay, so it's either a Linkin Park album or the time at which people are awake until playing. Yeah, it's... what country are they from? Region?
So this is from EMEA, so we're talking like Middle East.
Middle East. Minutes to midnight. 7 a.m. You know what? We're going to go 7 a.m. They're the real deal.
You're going Team 7 a.m.?
Yeah.
Mate, you are finally on the board. They are the correct answer, and they won the Elite Series EMEA Cup over KRC Genk Esports.
Yeah, I know.
Team
I saw
7
that one,
a.m.
actually.
You're up at 7 cheering them on. You got the jersey?
I was up. Yeah, it was minutes to midnight. I saw it.
All right. I love that. And okay, so the last one, to try and get back to a respectable 2 out of 5, 40% here. So we're shifting focus to sort of the local Oceanic League now, so the LCO.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to say Team Bliss or Team Nirvana. Which is the clan? Which one's the Sham?
Team Bliss. It's so happy. Team Bliss. Nirvana. That's also happy, but it's also like 90s fucking alt rock. Kurt Cobain. Appropriation of music taste through Triple J and Hottest 100s over the years. Someone from that era, 92, they'd be like 32 now. They're probably a coach of that team. They'd name something Team Nirvana because that was like their favorite band growing up, and they had that black shirt and MTV Unplugged CD or cassette in their Discman or Walkman. I'm going to go Team Nirvana.
You're going to go Team Nirvana?
Yeah,
Final answer?
Real. They're real. Yeah, 100%.
They may be real, but they're not real in the LCO. That's for sure. Team Bliss is the correct answer. They're actually an organization based up in Queensland, halfway. I think they're on the Goldie or Brisbane or somewhere between. So they're in the same state as you. So Team Bliss, they beat Chiefs, who have been the darling of the LCO or the Oceanic area in League of Legends for several years. It was a bit of a changing or passing of the torch. And then a few months later, Team Bliss actually acquired Chiefs. So they stole their lunch and then stole everything else from them. So, Team Bliss is correct.
They were playing for pink slips. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, buddy, Your first round of Clan or Sham was not the best. It wasn't the worst. You got one. You got one. You got Team 7 AM.
Let's throw it back to last week. I got 4 out of 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got 1 out of 5 now. So I'm sitting at 50%.
Yeah,
across
that's fair.
all guesses. So I'm 5 from 10.
I love that. That's a pass mark, Passes are more than acceptable here. So overall, 5 out of 10. Today, 1 out of 5. Last week, 4 out of 5. So let's see how you fare next week when things gear up.
C's get degrees.
I love that. And if you don't want to wait potentially months or years to sit and get your degree, don't worry because we've got you covered.
The week that's yet to come, presented by Dash Water.
All right. As far as things to do this week, apart from listening to the fantastic Radio Watson back catalogue, maybe playing some factions and jumping on and experiencing the OG maps from Fortnite, you can go to the cinemas and check out either Cat Person, Napoleon, or the Royal Hotel. As far as new and notables on the streamers, I haven't really been able to find anything sexy or appealing. And looking at games coming out this coming calendar week, it's pretty lean as well. We've got our Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection, which is something that tickles my pickle greatly. And if we sort of do let it bleed into the next 2 days after that, so we've got a few more games to mention. We've got June Spice Wars coming out on the Xbox and Roller Dome coming out on the Xbox as well. You're a big Roller Dome fan, right?
Loved it. I streamed that when it came out. I platinumed that. Awesome kind of little arena-based throwback to kind of Tony Hawk, but with combat and cel-shaded art and weapons and explosions. So, yeah, Roller Dome was sick. Definitely play that.
Yeah, it's coming out like a year later on the Xbox, but it's finally here. I think it's part of Game Pass, so you can get it at the cost of your subscription you're already paying. But, buddy, that brings us to the end of another episode of the Hungry Gamers podcast. Anything you want to mention, shout out before we close this sucker down for another week?
Yeah, play factions. Jump on, especially if it's your first time. I'm in a bit of a lean streak at the moment, so seeing new players pop up, that would help me greatly.
Is it gotten to the point, because I'm assuming it's a very devout fan base, like people will see your gamer tag or your username and they'll just go, oh shit, this guy's a big dick around here.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm playing with a few people as well, so sometimes we'll be in a lobby and like another team will jump in the lobby and like, oh, those guys, and then they like jump straight back out. But then we will also do that, like we're in a lobby and it's like, someone jumps in, it's like, fuck, those two are cheaters, and we jump back out.
Yeah, was it Viper, right? I think Viper was a cheater.
That's right, yeah.
Goddamn Viper.
And Bubba _Yaga and Jaws _1975. Yeah, they're cheaters.
To hell with all three of those dirtbags.
Yeah.
I hope they get really bad carpal tunnel and are unable to sue Naughty Dog for damage and anguish.
Yep, I'm going to sue them. Emotional damage.
Yeah. You should sue Bubba __ Yaga and Viper and the third one that I've forgotten already. Sue them for emotional trauma for being dirtbags and cheaters, because that has no place in today's gaming landscape.
That's right. Don't cheat in video games, people. No. Unless there's cheat codes and it's encouraged, like GTA.
Yeah. But outside of that, just be good people.
Keep it clean.
And on that note, I guess we shall close things up for another week. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe to this podcast and all the other podcasts you listen to on the regular. Those ratings and reviews keep the emotional lights on in our hearts. They keep us tracking, keep us trending, keep us relevant, and they take little time and cost no money. So please pay it forward via the way of those ratings and reviews. If you want to buy some merch, you can do so over at shop8bit.net. You can follow me at Brendan8bit. You can follow Buddy at BuddyWatson12. And you can find us all at We Are 8bit. But until next time, much love.
Stay hungry.
I'll see you around.